Hi everybody, how's it going? My name's Angelo. As you know by hitting on my channel or clicking on the video here, I wanted to give everybody an update. I'm approaching 1 year out from aortic valve replacement surgery, and I had a procedure last week to address some atrial fibrillation issues I had going on. So I wanted to take the opportunity to give a 1 year update and talk about that procedure I had last week. So as I said, it's been a year. It took me about 6 to 8 weeks to fully recover from the aortic valve replacement surgery I had. I had what's called a transthoracic procedure, where instead of doing open heart surgery, they went through my rib cage and replaced the aortic valve. I had a bicuspid aortic valve, and they put in a prosthetic tricuspid valve now, and that's checked out very well. My body accepted the prosthesis fully, and I returned to full activity within 6 to 8 weeks after the procedure. It took place in January of 2025. So return to full activity, work, exercise, including hiking, cycling, weight training. And in preparation for the surgery, I underwent a pretty significant lifestyle upgrade. I started changing around my nutrition significantly to primarily a whole foods type of diet, and measuring my food through a fitness app. And as a result, I lost 40 pounds heading into the surgery. My objective was to get into the surgery in as good a shape as I possibly could to accelerate my recovery. And that's what happened. It was a relatively smooth process. So anyway, if any of you watching this would like to have a conversation about that, what to do to get yourself prepared for surgery from that standpoint, feel free to shoot me a message. Anyway, so there's been a full recovery from that, and Paige and I have enjoyed a relatively active year in 2025. We've done some traveling, we've done some mountain hiking, lots of cycling. It's been overall a challenging but positive year from a physical standpoint. So now the one thing that was still left over was I've had some atrial fibrillation issues for a long time. Most of my adult life, in fact. I didn't realize they were going on. I knew something was a little bit off with my heart, but didn't really get a clear understanding of it until this whole process began way back in April of 2024. So I've had a long-standing atrial fibrillation issue. It's basically labeled paroxysmal atrial fibrillation. So now that we've got the aortic valve issue addressed, I do want to address the Afib issue, because if it's allowed to continue to progress unchecked, then what that does is it scars my heart and then moves me closer towards heart failure at an accelerated rate. So what we did last week was I had what's called a pulsed field ablation procedure, where they went through a vein in my groin. They went through the femoral vein, and they basically they applied an electric field to 3 different areas in my heart, where electrical centers were present that were creating some imbalanced signals that were affecting the way my heart beats. So the idea being that if we isolate those areas, then the heart will fall once the healing process completes into a normal sinus rhythm. So, and the other thing that was attempted to be done was they wanted to do what's called a Watchman device implant, which blocks off an area in the heart called the left atrial appendage. That's basically a little pocket in the upper left chamber of the heart where blood can stagnate. And if you end up with atrial fibrillation, turbulent blood flow, blood clots can form there, and those are what cause strokes primarily. So I've been on blood thinners, and I've more or less been okay being on blood thinners, but for a period of time, they're starting to cause me some intermittent dizziness issues. And, I've managed that by really staying really well hydrated. But I would prefer to get off of these long term. So I'm looking into the right device to try to block off that area in the heart. Unfortunately, the opening in my left atrial appendage was too small to be able to fit the Watchman device. So we're looking into a couple other devices right now in conjunction with my electrophysiologist, and there's one called an amulet device that might fit. But anyway, in process of figuring that out. So, but we did get the pulse field ablation done. Interesting process. So what they do with that is they knock you out, and then they apply cardiac aversion first to try to knock the heart into a sinus rhythm. So, and if any of you have seen some of those TV shows where someone's having a heart attack and they're either in the emergency room or in an ambulance and they apply electrodes to the chest, clear, ka-thunk, and electrodes applied, and you see the body jump up like this and so forth. They basically did that. I have a little burn scar right here from where that was applied. It's healing up okay. So stung for a couple of days, but it's getting better today. Anyway, they wanted to try to get my heart into a sinus rhythm before applying the cardiac ablation process. Now, oddly enough, I've been in Afib for so long that they were unable to get me into consistent sinus rhythm before doing the ablation. So anyway, they went ahead with the ablation nonetheless. And I've noticed that my heart rate at rest has decreased some since my recovery from the procedure. I'm now on day 4 or 5 post-procedure now, so my resting heart rate has come down some, but I still am getting some episodes of Afib, and they're most noticeable in the middle of the night. I'll wake up sometime between 2 and 4 in the morning, and I'll feel my heart racing and pounding a little bit. So fortunately, it does settle down, and then when that happens, I'm typically able to fall back asleep. So that's kind of my measuring stick in terms of how the healing process is going. So in the meantime, the recovery is going well from this. I started walking daily pretty much the next day. Today was the first day where I did some very, very gentle resistance training. I'm hopeful that, at least I'm told, that the Afib should resolve sometime over the next 2 to 6 weeks. Now, given the fact that I have paroxysmal Afib, which is the long-standing atrial fibrillation issue, it's possible that I might need to have a second ablation procedure at some point later this year. So typically with more long-standing Afib problems, second procedures are often needed to be performed. So we'll see what happens here. Hopefully that doesn't need to happen. But if it does, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So in the meantime, I'm recovering from this. I am noticing some immediate differences, but those differences should continue to become more apparent over the next few weeks. So, and I'll check in with everybody after about a month here, as I start to see more noticeable changes, or not. If it still stays the same, I'll be sure to update everybody and let you know. So, anyway, that's the update right now. So, if you're facing atrial fibrillation issues, talk to your cardiologist, talk to your electrophysiologist about whether you might be a candidate for pulsed field ablation. It is an option. It's a newer approach to dealing with Afib, and there's increased safety associated with this. There is, in the old ablation procedures, there would occasionally be some damage to adjacent circulatory structures and adjacent nerve structures outside the heart. That's not the case with pulsed field ablation now, so it's a very safe procedure. So talk to your EP, your electrophysiologist, about it if you're dealing with this sort of thing. So that's my cardiac update, everybody. Sorry if that was a little long-winded. We're approaching 10 minutes here on the video. But I'll update everybody again once I know what's going on. Cheers, peace, talk soon.